It's 4.
Week 4.
Week 4.
Episode
4. Number 4.
Week 3. Week 3, episode 4.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Week 3, episode 4. That's kind of weird
It is.
to try and keep straight. But I mean, it all launched the same time, essentially, if you think about it. So,
Well, someone who counts by fives for a living, it's a little off.
what is that like?
When counting by fives
Yeah.
can be monotonous. No. I will never forget in high school, my very first job was at Victoria's Parlor, ice cream parlor,
Right.
an ice cream shop in Ohio, the dead of winter. I made $1.25 plus tips. And I will tell you, there's 0 tips to be made unless your family comes in to give you tips at an ice cream shop. So I went next door to Taylor's drugstore and I got a job. And I will never forget, I was all excited to work at Taylor's, and every now and then Greg would call you back and you get to count pills. And I would let's just say it was for 30 pills and you have this big bottle. I would literally dump the entire bottle of 1,000 pills to count out 30. Like I had no concept at the time.
Right.
And I was like, 1, 2.
Oh, Lord.
And he's like, I can't. You count by fives. I'm like, fives? He's like, 5. So Greg Green taught me how to count by fives and not dump an entire bottle of 1,000 hydrochloride tablets out, tiny little tablets out.
So that's what 7 years of college and 2 degrees will get you, is you learn how to count by fives.
And a lot of student debt. But yes. I learned to count by fives. Truly, your pharmacist now really, I mean, not that I'm above counting, but truly your pharmacist doesn't usually count a whole lot. You usually have, your techs and your support staff does it. But I've had techs through the years who count by 4s, and I'm like, oh my God, I cannot do that. But I can always tell, like when someone gets a prescription and it should have, let's say, 33 pills, and they'll call invariably, I only got 30 pills. I'm like, yeah, we count by 5s, and they stopped at the 5 and they didn't do the 3, it invariably, but yes. So for someone who counts by 5s for a living, yeah.
Well, you know how I learned the 7s on the multiplication table?
No.
Touchdowns.
Oh God.
That's the only way I could learn it was touchdowns.
Thought they were
Well, okay. Technically, yes. A touchdown is 6 points.
okay. I'm just getting into the football thing again.
The extra
Thank you, Travis
point,
Kelce.
1 and 2.
Taylor Swift.
I think we will have to get into that today on the show. Then the extra point is 1. Well, in the NFL, they didn't have the 2-point conversion when we were growing up, so it was always 7, and it was basically assured somebody was going to kick the extra point. So that's how I learned the multiplication tables by 7.
Okay.
Now, thank you, football, for also teaching me how to calculate in my head rapidly the difference in time when I was doing time of possession, when I was doing play-by-play by myself and doing my own stats and trying to keep time of possession in football and learning how to quickly do 60 minus 29 being 31. It has come in very handy as a lacrosse official because I can instantly calculate when a penalty is going to expire, if it's a 30 or a 60, and yell it out, when they start the clock.
You know what we might do? You know how they have Kevin Bacon 6 degrees of separation?
Yes.
We might have to do Sam Walker 6 degrees of separation to lacrosse official.
Okay, there's a lot. All right, let's start. Let's start the show. Welcome to the Sam
NM
Podcast, episode 4. Find us on your favorite podcast app. Watch us on YouTube and Facebook. The cool thing on Spotify is because I upload the video, you can watch the video on Spotify or the audio. And it saves me time because I don't have to upload a separate audio file anymore. Yes! 1 less hour of my evenings after we record. Anyway, like, follow, subscribe, hit the bell. 5 stars. Positive vibes only. Thank you, Joe and Joe. It's brought to you by State Line Power Wash, locally owned and operated by Parker and Smith Hammer, pressure washing, painting, concrete, floor, ceiling, serving the Outer Banks in northeastern North Carolina. They've got over 140 5-star reviews on Google. I'll take 40 at this point. Schedule now for winter and early spring discounts. StatelinePowerWash.com. Get that free estimate. They've got a whole bunch of new things we're going to talk about in a little bit, too. That they just dropped the day we're recording the podcast on Wednesday. So anyway, State Line Power Wash. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the Sam and M podcast.
Joining us live, because if you want to know anything about the Outer Banks, Sam Walker's the dude to fill you in.
I went through all my files this week
to find that.
To find all of my Weather Channel drops. So I have been searching, and I've been going through Emily Blunt interviews on Graham Norton's show to find drops for you. Because I don't have any drops for you that I can use.
Love to watch Emily Blunt.
Oh, yeah.
clips.
She's
hysterical.
good. She's
I
good.
love her and her husband.
Always good stuff with Sam Walker in the Outer Banks.
Oh, you know. Hey, thank you, Jim and Steph. All right, I'm going to throw it down.
I'm not a good-looking guy in a lot of different ways.
No, I'm not.
You are.
Yeah.
And you're 51.
Roy's right. Yeah.
And you're 51.
That is right. It is birthday week at our house. We didn't talk about it last week on the podcast, which dropped.
The day before.
The day before your...
I was still 50 when it dropped.
Your birthday on the 19th. Mine being the 25th, so this will drop on the night of my 51st birthday.
Yes.
She's 6 days older, in case you didn't know. In case we haven't told everybody that we know since we met 32 years ago that we are 6 days apart.
Yes.
So it is birthday week, which means absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. There's a UHF drop I need to pull. So what do we do at 51? Because 50, the big 5-0, everybody talks about it because of the 0. We won't go into me being panicky at 25 with a birthday because that's a long story one day when we can talk about breaking your ribs skiing. But
that wasn't when you were 25.
That was 30.
That was 30. You know, when I gave you a surprise birthday party when you turned 30, and then another surprise birthday party, when you turned 40. And I think I said when I turned 50, I really wanted a surprise birthday party. But it didn't happen. So you have time, my friend.
No. All right. Now,
in the next few years,
I did surprise you,
you did
in the days leading up to the 50th birthday, which is when I showed up on Main Street during the Walt Disney World Marathon. I know. I'm trying to justify my slackerness.
I'm going to have to, I'm really going to have to get Caroline involved in this and be like, okay, between now and 55, I want a surprise birthday party. I don't know why I didn't have birthday parties growing up. I haven't had birthday parties. And every time I do one for Sam, he's like, I don't like celebrating my birthday. But we have a good time.
It's another lap around the sun. You survived another trip around. So
a guy told me one time you could get a little knowledge and it turns you into an idiot, but no knowledge, you're a double idiot.
Yeah, I'm a double idiot because I screwed up all those opportunities for surprise birthday parties. Yes, you're right, Roy. Oh, boy. All right. So hitting 51, 70 pounds lighter. And did you ever do the math? Because I know we said 250 combined. Is it right around that?
It really is.
It is right around that. So, yeah. So hitting 51 at this stage of our physical being, I can't imagine trying to live the life we had at the weight we were going into our 50s or now into our 50s. It just doesn't seem like it was sustainable. Is that a correct assessment, you think?
I think it'd be harder. I mean, I think it's hard no matter what. I mean, I think we've sustained, we're the walkers, we push through.
Yeah,
I think now we can just maybe push through faster and do more.
Right.
We can accomplish more in the next 51 years, honey.
Okay.
We can get it done. We can do so much.
Get it done. Get it done. That was the slogan of the 1993 basketball team at Campbell. I think that was one of our get it done.
Get her done, wasn't it?
Get it. No, get it done.
Done?
That was what we do every time we come out of the huddle was get it done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, as always, thanks for everybody with the comments, the suggestions, the texts, the DMs, the comments, and there's so many on the Facebook page, and I will admit, Emily keeps an eye on that side of things, mainly because there's the notifications blow up because I'm constantly posting. So I miss you see more of that. But I know we had a couple from very close acquaintances regarding last week's show.
Yes. Well, my best friend growing up and best friend, one of my dearest friends now, Jen, sent me a text and she's like, I'm listening to your podcast. She's like, in regards to Spring Valley Pool, one, it's not a lake. It's a spring-fed pool, hence why it's called Spring Valley Pool. Couldn't think of that quite off the top of my head.
Right.
The candy that I was trying to remember was called Chico Stick.
Chico Sticks, the orange ones, yes.
Yes. And then it is now a park. And so that is the information I have from Jen, and I appreciate her keeping me up to date and educated on Spring Valley Pool in Granville, Ohio.
Right. Okay. That's interesting that you say that about that spring. It just amazed me. They just filled it in. It was a natural spring-fed pool, pond.
But it was a pool.
But it was a pool. It had a
cement
bottom and
in
all
it,
that
yeah.
stuff. It just had, now to remember that they had filled it in the last time we were up there.
So,
Or a couple times before that. So anyway. All right. And then what else did you have?
So then my aunt Debbie sent me a message asking when our next podcast was going to drop, and I told her, and she was like, I said, I'm glad you're enjoying it. And she said, I am, but I was confused on a little bit of the terminology about what a sweeper is. And so,
and it's not a sweeper like we do in radio, which would be something like, the wishes and booms.
Most people wouldn't know.
They wouldn't know that. I'm sorry.
Tell us the radio
guy.
sweeper. I didn't
No,
know there was a thing.
it's a running thing.
Yes.
Explain.
No, it is a running thing, but I didn't know there was also a radio sweeper.
Yes.
Or there's a sweeper at the house who tends to usually be me, sweeping the floor.
Hey, now I've stepped that game up with this pretty cool cordless
You
vacuum we've got.
You
going
have.
now.
You have.
No.
No, in running, there's not a whole lot of I guess there is probably a lot of terminology. I don't even know that exists. But when we talk about a sweeper at a race or an event, the sweeper is people or persons who come and get you if you are not at a certain point that you're supposed to be by a certain time. So the race has a time limit, like a 3-hour time limit. So you're maybe supposed to be at mile 1, let's say mile 4 or 5 by an hour in. And if you're not at this certain point, they have buses usually, especially at Disney, they have buses and sweepers who are like, hey, sorry, but you're not going to get to finish the race. You need to get on the bus.
They'll close the course. So essentially they will put a human barricade up and you will be directed to load up on the bus and the ride of shame back to the finish area.
Right. Well, and it's not
Not a ride of
necessarily
shame.
loaded,
That's
but
right,
I
a
mean,
long way, yeah.
some people
You're right.
take it as a negative, but you
Yeah.
got out there, you did it.
You did it.
So at Disney races, there's a ton of conversation that goes on about the balloon ladies,
Yes.
which we mentioned last week.
Mm-hmm.
But the balloon ladies start at they are the very last ones to start the race. That's not true anymore. There's the dead last finish.
The
Deadline,
the DALs.
yes,
Yeah.
that start right behind them.
The
But
dead bleep L's.
yes,
Yeah, dead beep blast.
so there is a group of people who do that, who are usually pretty fast runners, so they can catch and pass people and go. Yeah. But they're good-hearted people. I mean, they're fun. Yeah, they're fun.
It literally is. Whoa, vapor trail.
Right. So at Disney races, other than that one group of people who decide to start last and see if they can still finish ahead of a lot of people, you have the balloon ladies. And so the balloon ladies literally carry one of those big balloons that have the Mickey head inside of it, and they walk the whole race at a 16-minute pace. And so with them, that is kind of like, again, like I said last week, you do not use them as your guide. You use them as a guide, but they're not guaranteed. Disney could sweep the balloon ladies just as much as they sweep anyone else who hasn't met those certain mile markers by a certain time. Right. But the balloon ladies are encouraging. They're out there. Sadly, I just wanted to touch on this. There is a balloon lady.
Yeah, go ahead. I just put her up on the screen here. Yeah.
Her name is Heather. And Heather's had literally just gotten off the plane from doing the Disneyland race, had done the red eye back to Orlando. Yep. And 30 minutes after being home, her son Trevor stopped breathing. She and her daughter did, from what I've read, everything I've read, I've just read through posts on the Run Disney community. Yeah. So, and then I did go to, there was a GoFundMe, so I did go to that also and look. So I hope I have the details right. But Heather's son, his name is Trevor. He went into ketoacidosis, which is actually a diabetic thing when your sugars are,
just way out of balance.
And your body goes into acidosis and things go really wacky really quick. She and her daughter, from what I understand, did CPR on him. They were able, I guess, 911 came, the ambulance came, put him into ICU. I think he was unresponsive. Unfortunately, the family made the decision to go ahead and pull all life support, and he'll be an organ donor. Yeah. And so what has been amazing, and I've been kind of like obsessive about reading everything, is the community. The Disney community has just reached out.
The RunDisney community, yeah.
Not just RunDisney. I don't think it's just RunDisney.
Okay.
I think it's a Disney community. RunDisney for sure. But they've reached out. The GoFundMe for some medical costs and everything was set at $20,000. The last time I looked, it was at like $25,000.
Wow.
And ironically, I believe it was at the Princess Run last year. I ran past a girl and it said Balloon Lady's daughter. Now, I was nowhere near Balloon Ladies and neither was the daughter. She was at the front of the race and she and her daughter did the Disneyland. Yeah, they did the Disneyland race. So I've met or seen her daughter. I know exactly who she is. This, of course, is nothing I would wish on any family in any way, shape, or form. Our son, Jonathan, he was an organ donor. His eyes were donated.
Yeah, corny. I can't remember technically what it was, but yes, someone is now able to see because of Jonathan being an organ donor.
Right.
And that's something I always pushed on the kids when they went to get their driver's license was, yes, organ donor.
Right.
And, 16, 15 years old, didn't quite grasp the concept of why or, but it was something that when we got our driver's licenses in the 1980s, it was new that you could do that at the DMV. I mean, now you can register to vote and all that stuff, but that was a relatively new option when you got your driver's license was to sign up to be an organ donor. So it was always something that was very important to me because of we were finding ways for people who lose a life to save a life. And that's something we will always carry with us about Jonathan is that someone's able to see that our tragedy, the loss of Jonathan, has changed someone's life for the better.
And from his mother, who can't see very well without very thick glasses, it actually has a little extra spot in my heart. But to Heather, the balloon lady, and her family, her daughters, her husband, her family, the friends, my heart goes out to you. Yeah. And I know you will probably never see this, but just know you have another family thinking about you.
Yep. All right. Let's do this. We are going to transition into a little more Disney talk. But first, we're going to do some business. We're going to talk about our pals at State Line Power Wash because without them, we're not doing this show.
Yes.
And it is just thanks so much, guys, for joining us on this journey here at the Sam and M podcast at StateLinePowerWash.com. Pressure washing, painting, concrete floor sealing. They're getting into all kinds of cool stuff now. I've talked about it before, the fuzzy bills. They're stuck on the side and still, even after all that rain and wind we had to start the year, and then the freeze this week, and then the warm up this week, and everything thaws out. Those fuzzy bills are still stuck there. They'll get them down for you. When we had all the rain to get the gutters cleaned out, they'll do that. The driveway, the deck, the roof, it's all grimy and slimy. Definitely, on the backside where it's not getting the sun, and this time of year it really gets very obvious. State Line Power Wash, they'll use a process that gently gets those shingles looking shiny. Even old roofs can look brand new. And if you're ready to freshen up the outside or inside of your home, State Line Power Wash got you covered with their painting services. It'll brighten the look of your primary home, the home that's going on the market, and even, they'll help you out with that too. We're going to be able to talk about that starting next week. The vacation rental, StateLinePowerWash.com will get it all cleaned up. Garage floor needs a new coating, right? State Line Power Wash uses a polyasperitic seal, same stuff that's used in commercial kitchens. You hose them down, cleans it right up. Concrete seals and coatings, a finishing touch for any outdoor space, patios, pool pads, and driveways. Locally owned and operated by Parker and Smith Hammer. Grew up right here in Currituck. Local staff too, and they are expanding their staff. They just posted up right before we came on the air that they are looking for all types of help.
Yep, and I shared it on my Facebook.
Yeah, we've shared it up on all of our socials, so you can check that there. So make sure you swing by and check it out for that. StatelinePowerWash.com. Got over 440 5-star reviews on Google, from Moyock to Manio, Edenton to Duck. Schedule now with State Line Power Wash at StateLinePowerWash.com. Grab their winter and early spring discounts. StateLinePowerWash.com. You can give them a call, 252-421-3775. See the number up there on the screen right now for your free estimate. That's StateLinePowerWash.com. All right. We call this in the business a transition.
A tiki room.
All right, let's talk a little more Disney.
Okay, before we do,
Okay.
one other text
Yes.
that we received this
Oh,
morning.
we missed. Okay, yes, go ahead.
Our friend's mother
Yeah.
has been watching, and her only
Oh, yeah.
advice is get to the meat of it.
Get to
quicker.
the meat of it. Okay.
So
Yeah.
we're going to
Don't
try
dilly-dally.
not. We're going to try not to tangent upon tangent upon tangent.
Tangent. We were going to stay on target. Stay on target. I got to find that drop now. Thank you very much. That's a good one to get when we go on tangent. Stay on target
Stay
from
on
Star
target.
Wars. So anyway, Disney. We really have debated about when to start attacking. Attacking's not. Yeah, I'm going to say attacking the whole knowledge base that's stored up in this giant melon here of the Disney parks and the Disney parks experience and how to plan a trip and how to make it so you can afford a trip and the do's,
Just
the
for-
don'ts.
FYI, you can never really afford it. Just
No, you can't. No. You got a budget? Forget it.
multiply it.
Gone. Throw it out. It ain't working. Multiply it by a factor of 10. Count it by 5. So, Emily has the script this week. So, she has the show notes. I said, you're doing the show notes. I'll do the basics over here, but you're doing the show notes. So where should we go first with this discussion?
So the first part is,
Yes.
how did your love of Disney start, Sam Walker?
Okay. So
The short version.
The short version? All right. How far are we into the show? Let's look at that to figure out how short we can go. Okay. We're only 22 in. It's not bad. All right. So let's go back to 6th grade. So that would be what year? So 6 plus 5, 11. 85? 86? No. 80. 73 plus 11 would be 84, 85. So roughly there. I'm sure those who were on the same trip will be commenting and saying, dummy, you're the one who keeps everybody reminded about it. It was whatever year it was. Oh, so the AG program in Currituck County Schools, load up on a bus in the middle of the night and drive all night on a charter bus down to Florida. We're going to Cape Canaveral first. So throw in the whole space love that I have, Kennedy Space Center. Then we're going to Disney. And this was, of course, before. So we only did Magic Kingdom. Epcot was open, so we did do Epcot. So that trip, I don't want to get into the gory details because I pointed out every time we drive by that McDonald's where they spun me around in the playground and ended up throwing up on the 295 bridge. On the old one on the west side, there's one on the east side now. We go to Kennedy Space Center, get to experience that, see a shuttle on the pad. So talk about double love starting space and Disney. Go to the parks. We get there, we check in, and we stayed at Howard Johnson's off of John Young Parkway, right on I-4. Which at one point in a trip, I pointed it out, we drove by, that it was literally a crack house because it looked like it had been bombed out. And shout out Charlie, my cousin, who got in trouble because he climbed between 2 of the balconies at that hotel on that trip. That was that trip. So we go and we're staying off property. Okay, no big deal. Yeah, I didn't know better. I was 11 years old. Had no idea what I was getting into. Never even thought about ever getting to go. Not something that was talked about in our family was going to do. It just wasn't. Go. Very first thing we go to is the Polynesian Resort. So one of the 2 original resorts, Polynesian and Contemporary, to go to the luau. walk through with the giant volcano the giant volcano fountain that was there, which is no longer there, which is heartbreaking, in the lobby of the Polynesian. Go through those sliding doors, which, early 80s sliding doors were pretty cool for a sixth grader. And there is that pool, that volcano pool, which was a completely different look than it is now. But that volcano pool with the slides coming out of it, where you didn't see where people were going in, but you saw them come out. And, there's Cinderella's castle in the far distance. And it's right at dark, because this was March, so it was still relatively. It was right at dark. It was magic hour. We talk about magic hour when we go there, which is when the sun hits this just perfect angle on your main street. Everything is like glows. We talk about it here on the Outer Banks with magic hour. Same situation. It was just perfect. Go to the luau, which is no longer there, is now turned into a DVC resort.
Yeah, I hate that, because I did love the luau. The luau was a lot of fun.
Geez.
I loved it. And it was actually really good food, too.
And it started there. Got to go to Magic Kingdom the next day. There is a picture I took. I want to find it. It's at Mom and Dad's house somewhere that I took in Small World. That may be the only picture. I have asked repeatedly if everybody went on that trip, and all the chaperones. No one seems to be able to really pull up any photos from it. We need to find the Central Elementary School annual from that year, to maybe it's in there. Maybe there's a photo from that trip. Anyway, get to experience Magic Kingdom for the first time.
Wait, why Central Elementary? If you were in middle school, would it not have been?
No, this was sixth grade. No, sixth grade. K through 6 was elementary school here. Then we went to Knapp Junior High, 7th and 8th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
no,
I didn't realize
so
that.
Sixth grade was elementary school in Currituck until the middle school concept, when they moved 6 from the elementaries to what became Knapp Middle School.
Okay.
All right. So it was 6th, 7th, and 8th graders went on that trip. So that trip started it. 2 years later, 8th grade, doing my marching band experiment.
What instrument?
Started a clarinet in 7th grade, switched to drums in 8th grade. It was all a mistake. Totally 100% a mistake. We go down for band trip. So the 8th graders get to go with the high school band. So again, pretty much the same crew that went 8th grade. We go on the band trip. We're going to go play at SeaWorld. We marched at SeaWorld. Couldn't get the march at Magic Kingdom, which stunk, but we got to march at SeaWorld, which is still pretty cool. The featured song we did on that was All You Need Is a Miracle by Mike and the Mechanics. And the cool thing about that is, because I was a bass drummer, we got a solo at the beginning of the song. Every time that song comes on the radio, still, there it is. Boom, 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 boom. It's the only thing I can still remember how to play any musical instrument. We go 8th grade. So it's Magic Kingdom, it's Epcot. We stayed off-site at some Days Inn, which I still have no idea where it was. I still try to find it when we're down there. We get to go to SeaWorld, which was cool because SeaWorld at the time was still, as SeaWorld was, as bad as it was from what they were doing to the animals. Right? But still pretty cool. So Magic Kingdom, this is where it gets really weird. We are at Journey to Mars, which was originally one of the opening day attract. Journey to the Moon was shifted to a Mars trip. That's what now is the vacant Stitch ride. In between that was Aliens, the scary. It became a scary ride. But anyway, in the pre-show, and one thing about it, people know me. I'm an only child and love to do stuff by myself, and still do. And will wander off and get away from, you're supposed to keep a buddy. Yeah, right. I'm gone. I am gone. I am doing this myself. I am just eating it all up. I am spending all the money I had on the trip. And it wasn't souvenirs, it was food. Surprise, surprise. And just in the pre-show for Journey to Mars, and hanging out, girl. Anyway, start hanging out with these two girls. They're turn out to be from Lake City, Florida. School trip, same situation. That's day trip for them. So anyway, we progress, and needless to say, and I pointed out to her all the time when we ride, the People Mover. Yes. Tomorrowland Transit Authority, People Mover. I kissed a girl for the first time on People Mover. There's another reason why I have this weird obsession with this 47 square miles, 28,
You got your little
27,000 square miles.
You got your little People Mover.
I do have a People Mover. Yes, I do have a People Mover vehicle. So anyway. and it rolls. I can't do it because the way I've got the camera shot set up. But anyway, I do have a People Mover with a Mickey and Minnie sitting right inside. Yeah. So I pointed out to her every trip, or did some of the first trips. It's kind of gone away. It's no longer a reference anyway. I mean, I can tell you the spot.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
All right. We're Buzz Lightyears now. Anyway. So that's 8th grade. Then it kind of goes away. Didn't get to go back. Did the scuba diving thing. We drove down 95 a couple times to the Keys or Crystal River, and oh man, it'd be great. We go to college. Campbell goes from the Big South to the Trans-America Athletic Conference, the All Across America Conference, because we were flying then to Louisiana, to Miami. It was the craziest damn thing we ever did was leave the Big South for them. Now they're in the Colonial. But anyway, so one of the road trips is to play Central Florida and Stetson. Stetson's in DeLand up north between Daytona, right just down US 92 from Daytona. And Central Florida is on the northeast side of Orlando. Well, you would think, hey, we're in Orlando. We're getting to do a trip to Disney. No, it's a business trip for us. For basketball. So you don't get to go to the parks. And so never got to do it. Go through college, have kids. Never even, I don't think I ever mentioned from the time James was born in 1998. We never even mentioned it about before having kids that we were going to do the Disney thing. Now, I don't ever recall a conversation. We're really cool when we have kids.
We didn't discuss that we were having kids, and they just popped out.
Yeah, that's true.
So the fact that
there's another show.
I'm just saying. So the fact that
all right, we're only 9 minutes into the conversation. I think I'm doing okay. So 1999 comes along. So we've got James and Jonathan. What else comes along around 1999? Well, it's 97, 98. The internet. So the internet becomes prevalent. It's everywhere. And in the time that I was in between gigs and radio, I'm working at mom and dad's store, sitting up there in front of the computer for hours on message boards, and then kind of stumble onto the Disney message boards. At the same time, onto the human spaceflight message boards, and watching the live shuttle stuff 24 hours a day, but also getting into the Disney message board, the Disney parks, the Walt Disney World message boards, and before social media, and finding that, oh my gosh, I remember all these things, and it's now coming. It's oh, this is so cool. This is so cool. In the meantime, having grown up, getting to go to Busch Gardens and King's Dominion on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. And being accused of being lost at 5 years old at Busch Gardens by a cast member who thought I was lost. I knew what I was doing. I was playing video games in the arcade. Dad was on the other side. They took me, and that was a whole thing. But that's where it went. That's where it went bonkers, was the internet. The internet caused it in 1999, and it just progressed. And that's where the love of the Disney parks came from. On top of being in show business. On top of being on radio and in the business of show. And so much of what the Disney parks is about, is, for me anyway, it's not just about Mickey and Minnie. It's not the characters. It's not the movies. It's the parks themselves. It's the immersiveness of the entertainment. It's how they produce the magic. It's even the utilidors, which are the tunnels that are underneath Magic Kingdom, where it's an entire city. You've got to remember, when you're walking around in Magic Kingdom, you're on the second floor. There's an entire system of tunnels and offices and wardrobe, the whole 9 yards, underneath all of that. It's knowing that stuff, but seeing how it's executed. It's watching the lights people working. It's watching the sound people working. It's seeing the cast members doing what they do. That's so much of that. This came from those things. Then it turned into, we have kids that are now of an age that we're ready to take them. And yes, we took James and Jonathan in March of No.
It was July 4th.
Oh, was that the first trip? Not the camping trip.
Yeah, July 4th was the first trip.
But we only took the boys. We didn't
Yes,
take Caroline.
That's correct. Caroline stayed home.
That's right. Caroline stayed home because Caroline was only like one. So James was 4 and Jonathan was 3.
Yes.
And we went on July 4th. Woo.
That was my very first trip.
Yeah. And see, that's the other thing. This has all been about me for 10 minutes. Emily had no concept of even ever wanting to go to the Disney parks. Your mom worked at Cedar Point in Ohio. She worked in a theme park.
That doesn't mean that
I know. But she worked in a theme park in college. That was one thing I regretted, was never doing the college program now. As an adult, I regret not doing the college program and having the access to it. But you had nothing. Disney was not part of your anything until we were parents.
Right. And so we went
July 4th.
July 4th.
For what, 4 days? I think we did.
I don't
know
think
if we did 4 days. We didn't even stay in Orlando. We didn't even stay. We stayed up on the other side of the lake with our friends the Ammons and his parents. Well, we did stay at a hotel. Actually, no, I take that back. We stayed there the first night, the first and second night. Then we went to a timeshare down on 192 on Earlo Bronson Highway.
Right.
Yeah.
But if anyone knows, like, the days you do not hit a Disney park are Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, 4th of July. Those are the big days that are
New Year's Eve.
full capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get to Magic Kingdom. It's hot as hell.
On the 4th of July.
On the 4th of July with James, Jonathan, and then our friends and their children.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think Annie went. I think it was just Buck.
It was
just
Buck.
Buck?
I think.
No, Annie might have gone.
I think
Annie might have gone.
Yeah.
But we get there.
And they had some family with them too. Remember they had, wasn't it cousin or niece or something?
Oh,
like
yeah,
that?
yeah.
Niece went
Ariel,
too.
yeah. And we get there. It's hot. I am like
It's not just hot. It's Florida hot.
I am not. At this point, I'm not an amusement park person.
Having
by
your
any
third
means.
child, so yeah. On top of that, we'll throw in back to the wait story.
Yeah, it was definitely heavy, and the kids have been, whatever. And we get there, and it is packed, y'all. I mean, you can't breathe. There are people everywhere. And Sam, we get to, like, you come around the circle as you come in, and you're down Main Street. You're right at the start of Main Street, and you look and you see the castle. And Sam, I've got the stroller. We're holding on to James. I think Jonathan's in the stroller. It's hot. I got sweat dripping. We've been married 9 years. And we did not take a honeymoon because I was in pharmacy school and we had to get back. But anyway, Sam stops and he gets his hand on my shoulder and holds me tight. And he's literally shaking with emotion. He says, "Isn't this wonderful? This is where we're coming for our 10th anniversary." And I looked at him. I said, "I'm not feeling that. Like, I'm not feeling that." And this Sam's emotion, he's all emotional, and the kids, and we do that. And that was my first experience. And then we ended up, though.
Well, then we'll gloss over this, the camping trip, when we finally got to take care of it.
No, but what I was going to say is,
sorry.
so we did go to Hollywood Studios because the boys met. That's when they had, like, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the little playground. And we took the kids there, and James and Jonathan got to meet Buzz and Woody.
Yeah.
And so my beginning of the trip, I was like, "Oh, this is going to be great. I can't wait to get home, get back to the hotel, get in the pool." But as watching it through James and Jonathan's eyes, and yours to a point, but the boys and them just like, "Oh, it's Buzz Lightyear. Oh, it's Woody." Like that, Buzz and Woody were like new then. Like that was like,
that was not long after Toy Story had come out. Yeah.
They had just opened up, I think, the Buzz Lightyear ride. I think we did it.
Toy Story Mania.
Ride. Yeah, no.
The Buzz. Oh, yeah, that's right. They at Magic Kingdom we had the Buzz Lightyear Space Rangers. Yes.
So to see it through the kids' eyes, I kind of softened a little bit. And then we did go as the years went on. Like we didn't go back until we started the thing when they turned 10.
Right.
So they were 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Caroline hadn't been before James turned 10. I
Right.
think she was like 8. I don't think we went back.
That's right. Yeah.
And then that's really when it all really started.
Yeah.
Like we did camping.
Well, we dedicated that where every 10th birthday and all 3 kids we would go and we would be going. So that was back-to-back years. So James turns 10 and we take all 3 and
we went at Easter.
We went at Easter.
Spring break.
In the early Easter, the March Easter.
Yes.
So it was dropping into the 40s and 30s at night, and we're tent camping at Fort Wilderness, and we've got space heaters. And it pours rain thunderstorms, and we're trying to eat outside, and the neighbors next to us in the $1 million bus bring out a tent for us to put over the picnic tables. We're sitting there trying to eat dinner because we cooked it on the grill and in a downpour.
Something y'all should know about the Walkers. We really, really would like to be bougie, but we just can't.
No.
So
No.
we're going to tent camp, and unbeknownst to us, or maybe Sam knew, he gets us the campground that's like the Mac Daddy campsite for campers, but we're tent camping. I think there were just a few other there's a whole nother area where you should be tent camping.
No.
But not us.
At the time, that wasn't.
At the time, but it was kind of
Yeah.
like they were moving people in that direction. So we were
Yeah.
allowed to tent camp, but we were literally the only tent, and we had two tents. We had one that was like the staging tent. So I had all our
clothes.
clothes. That's where we changed. That's where all that was. And then we had the sleeping tent, which again, being the Walkers, I had to get us the tent called Cougar Flats.
Yeah.
That had two rooms. It was like the flats. So you had the room that we slept in, and then you had another room the kids slept in.
Right.
And we had everyone. So, but we were amongst like literally those really, really nice, like you're not joking, like $250,000
That's folks in Louisiana
camper.
like,
Yeah.
helped us out.
Yeah. And but anyway, so like so the Walkers always try to be bougie, but we do the low end of bougie. But anyway, so we did that. And
What's
then,
memorable about that trip, though, for me, was the first night we were there, and we're swimming in Fort Wilderness campground pool, which means for the first time since I went in 6th grade and looked and set my eyes on that Polynesian pool, I got to swim in a pool on property.
Yes.
That I got to, for the first time,
really
swim
nuts.
in a pool, Disney pool on property, and it was like midnight, and it was the coolest thing ever.
And then we still got to do a luau then. That was still going on.
Luau
We
was
did a
still going
luau.
on. Yep.
Chip and Dale, they came out. We had the
Chip and Dale with the
campfire.
campfire, the marshmallows, which they still do,
Yeah.
and then watch the movie.
Hoop-de-doo.
We did Hoop-de-Doo, which is
Hoop-de-doo review.
There's and you'll see these probably coming out. There's the Hoop-de-Doo's got a very special place in our hearts.
We haven't been back to Hoop.
You haven't. I did
You
with
and
the
the
kids
kids
on
did,
the fateful March 2020 trip,
Yes.
the week before the world shut down.
Yes.
So we did
We did a trip.
Jonathan's trip the following for his 10th birthday. Did we go in the end of July or did we go in June after school got out?
See, I honestly can't remember.
I can't remember.
Middle-
I don't remember the date on
poor
that.
middle child.
Poor middle, yeah, it was a middle child syndrome. But we went for
'Cause-
Jonathan's 10th the following
No,
year.
we had to have gone. We had to have gone somewhere around Caroline's birthday because he got very bent out of shape because even though we were there for his birthday,
Yeah.
somehow it got in, like she had a pin too, and he's like, this is my birthday, not hers. Like
Yeah.
for somehow his birthday did get, we went like around Caroline's, maybe in June, maybe in May, because then the next year we went when it was Kendall and Caroline, 2 years later.
So it would have been, so we went the following May. So we didn't go, James was 98, Jonathan would turn 10 in 09, and we didn't go until 2010, but we went right after school got out, like the right in June.
Maybe.
It was right after school had gotten out. So we actually,
That's right. We picked him up, I think, the last day of school, like at 11, and we dropped him off.
no. Was that the trip with the fateful fuel pump?
No, that was our first trip.
That was our first
That
trip
was
where the
the
fuel
trip with-
pump went out, was not working right,
yeah.
and we had the Suburban. Oh, God.
No, the year with Jonathan's birthday, we dropped them off. We were those parents who said, you're going to school for the 3 hours. We went back home, packed up the car, and then picked up everybody.
Right, and then
then we
drove.
left and started driving. And we usually, honestly, Savannah, we usually try to get to Savannah for the night, and then we drive in the next day is usually what we do.
Savannah, Pooler, which is outside of Savannah. The other one is Santee, which is roughly halfway from here. Santee, South Carolina is a good stopover. Those are your midpoint stopovers. So that trip, I
I don't even know where we stayed though. I honestly cannot remember. Other than I just love the picture of
Poly
him.
was not Poly, was it? With just the 5? Yes, that was staying at the Poly.
Did we? Is that the first time we? Stayed
That
at
was the first
Poly?
time we stayed at the Polynesian. So that was the memorable because I just lost my marbles
y'all
of
really
that
do
trip.
not understand going to Disney with Sam Walker. It is an experience. Maybe we should sell it as a package. You can win a trip with Sam Walker.
I will gladly take people. I will plan your trip. I will actually drive for you the entire, because I love that drive on 95 of 12. I love it. I will do all that. You just put me up. That's all you got to do. Put me up, pay for the tickets. I'll take care of everything else. I will have your meals planned. I will have all that stuff done. I've volunteered that more than once. Nobody's ever taken me up, but now I really will do it for a small fee. But that trip was staying in the Polynesian for the first time. So that means getting to actually swim in the Polynesian pool, because at that point they had stopped pool hopping, because at one time you used to be able to, you could sneak into the pools. You could basically get into the pools. They had started enforcing pool hopping. Yeah. Yes and no. Anyway, we got to stay at the Polynesian for the first time. Did the luau. There is a photo, and this is probably the most memorable part, and I wish I have it. I don't have it digital. We have it on print. There's a photo of Jonathan. And every time we go to the Polynesian now, and even after they renovated a couple of years ago, they renovated the monorail station, so it's gone now. But there's a rail, and Jonathan, if anybody was going to do something that they were not supposed to do, if there was a sign that said wet paint, he was going to get that paint on him, and he sure did, because what he did, he put his hands on the rail, put his hands on his chin, and then he pulls them off, and there is that Polynesian Resort brown paint all down his forearms, and there is a picture of that with him like this, and that picture is one of the best pictures that we ever had of him. We had of him. So that was that trip.
Yeah, I think that was also the amoeba trip, wasn't it? Like
that was when somebody had unfortunately acquired the freshwater amoebas, which still are a thing. And we had told him, Jonathan goes in.
Well, there's signs everywhere.
There were signs at the time. Now there's nets. You can't even get to the water because of what happened with the alligators. But there are signs that said no swimming in Seven Seas Lagoon, no swimming in any of the water. I mean, that's back after River Country closed. When you could, that was part of the River Country was part of Seven Seas Lagoon and Bay Lake when you were swimming in those.
You're getting on tangent.
All right, I got to find that. But Jonathan goes into Seven Seas, swimming out there on the beach at Polynesian.
Well, because the boys were throwing a football.
They were throwing a football.
He kicked it accidentally in the water. Jonathan's going to always try to get up in the water. Yeah. And we kept yelling at him, you can't get in the water. No. And finally he's like, well, why not? And we're like, you can get amoebas in your head and die. Yeah. And like literally 2 days later, all of a sudden Jonathan bursts out crying and he's like, my head hurts. And we're like, okay. And he's like, the amoebas, I'm going to die. And we're like, we always joked him after that. We're like, do you have amoebas in your, like,
well, the poor kid was constantly having ear infections anyway.
Yeah, but he didn't have one that time. But the first time we went to Disney with the Ammons, he did. Remember, you missed the Capone night because you took him to the urgent care. He had double ear infection.
Yeah, we had to go find the doc in the box for that. Yeah.
And then Caroline's birthday, we went with the Cahills and we stayed at Polynesian again.
Yep.
And then we won't talk about it today, but you got to open the park, and that was another big traumatic
thing. Thank you, Tommy Bass, for finding the cast member on his trip and doing it, and then I got to do it. So that
was good. And then we kind of didn't go back for a while after Caroline's 10th birthday. I don't think we went back for a while until maybe James graduated from college.
No, from Fork Union.
Oh, no, we went with the boys. We did go at Christmas with the pals. We went with the pals,
and that was a 2-week adventure. That was a week with you at the parks, and that was, again, so we had done July 4th, we did Easter, and we did Christmas Day in Magic Kingdom.
We ended up at Animal Kingdom.
We ended up in Animal Kingdom because it was literally, you think wall to wall for July 4th is something. No, it is elbow to elbow. You're not moving at Magic Kingdom on Christmas Day. It's not happening. It's miserable. That was a 2-week trip because we went down for Disney with the pals. And
I'm the only one who came home.
You flew home to work while I took the kids and went to Tampa because James was playing on a lacrosse team that got a berth into a tournament down there in Lutz, Florida. And we stayed in a campground. And that was where I learned all about Trailer Park Boys, which was it's still an awesome show. We did nothing but watch Trailer Park Boys. The boys bass fished in the middle of the night. James caught that big bass, and then we drove back all night after playing lacrosse all day. Drove back all night. That trip was when the boys were still in Fork Union.
They were still in Fork Union.
And then we went for James's graduation from Fork Union. Jonathan, no.
No,
All right.
James. No, we didn't. We went when James graduated. Yeah, no. You're
All right,
right. It was a graduate from Fort Union. Yes, yes.
So
That was the last trip we all went. Yes.
Well, the last trip we all went. Yes, and your mom went. We got to take her, your sister, and her daughter went. We stayed, and there's that last picture, and that picture there is. That picture right there is that from that last trip altogether. Was that trip where that's the Mickey. It's still there, by the way, at Shades of Green.
So real quick, interesting fact about that trip.
Yeah.
Side note. My sister and my brother-in-law, thank you very much, had service, was in the Navy. So we got to stay at Shades of Green.
Right.
Which to me is one of my favorite places to stay there. The rooms are big, that whole thing. Do not go into it.
Okay, sorry.
Do not.
All right.
So anyway,
I'll stop.
We'll never get off.
We'll talk about that on the show, but not today.
When you show up to Disney and you stay at a resort they always say, like, as you go in and you say, hey, I have a reservation, and you have to go through the little thing, they'll say, welcome home. And you go and you check in and they say, welcome home. So anyway, my sister and my brother-in-law were very kind, got 2 rooms. We stayed at amazing week at Disney that week, but we were staying at Shades of Green. So Sam's getting a little grumpy. We're almost to Disney. He's just getting grumpy. And I'm like, what the heck? We're going to Disney. Why is he like this? And we get there and we get to Shades of Green and they let us go on in, and Sam's even grumpier. And I'm like, what is going on? So we get checked in, we get to our rooms. My mom and I are going to go to Walmart to get like snacks and stuff for the rooms. Yeah. And Sam is just being a complete jerk, just grumpy, snappy. We went to get some appetizers at the place. And anyway, finally we get back to the room before I leave with my mom. And I'm like, what is going on with you? And he's like, they did not say welcome home.
And security guard at the gate did not.
This is not going to be this is not the Disney experience that I am used to and I want. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I had not even really clicked in my head that when you get there and you check in and all that stuff, they say welcome home. But because Shades of Green is technically not a Disney resort.
It's owned by the Department of Defense.
That's all you're going to say.
Okay.
And so they do not say welcome home. So my mom and I leave, and I'm like, oh, I hope Sam and the kids can Sam's like, we're just going to walk around for a little bit. So we're gone for a couple hours. We come back, and all of a sudden, here's Sam, happy-go-lucky. It's like 10 o'clock at night at this point. He's just happy. Oh, this is amazing. This is going to be great. I'm like, well, what happened? Well, they went over to Polynesian, and they watched the fireworks at Magic Kingdom on the beach, and had a Dole Whip.
Yep.
And that put him into the Disney mood for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
But y'all, he literally flipped out, had a little temper tantrum because they did not say welcome home.
How many times do we pull in driving to to any of the resorts? And I still will point that out if it doesn't happen, because it has happened a couple of times.
He's a bit of a diva, y'all. He's a bit of a diva.
It has happened a couple.
So anyway.
All right. So 30 minutes on that. That's where the love came from.
For you.
We
didn't get to talk about me.
No, you did, because we explained it.
Well, my love of Disney has come as the years have progressed.
Right.
And truly, I am one of these Disney adults. You all can see I've given in and we have it everywhere. But my love of Disney really was more, you were talking about how it was not just like how they make the magic happen. Mm-hmm. To me, it was truly watching the magic happen through you and through our kids, and the excitement that they had, and honestly, if anyone was ever around the walkers, I think my friend Hyla Ammons noted us or tagged us as the whiny walkers.
Yes. Yeah, that's where that came from.
One or all of my children were known to be whining at some point in time.
Right.
Or myself or Sam. We were the whiny walkers.
Yep.
But there was something through the years that when you got there, everything did melt away. Like, it wasn't nearly as much fighting with the kids amongst themselves. It wasn't, we joke about the Jonathan was pounding because it was his birthday, not Caroline's, but he still, he's still that, but truly the kids tended to love each other a little bit more. We tended to love each other a little bit more. Yep. That stuff went away. And there is something to be said about Disney and making our family there's a lot of expectations for a lot of families because it is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it is a lot of, hey, we're not sure we'll ever get back here.
Right.
So we're
Yep.
going to make this. So that expectation can really put
Yep.
stress on families. For us, for some reason, it just didn't.
Nope.
It took it away.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, my love of Disney is not so much, of course, I love all the different things there and I have my things I love, but my love of Disney comes from seeing my family and the memories that we created.
Yeah.
So,
And now
or Disney
getting-
helped us create.
It did. And then getting into the Run Disney community like we have, and you started that, and now I've infiltrated it. But then we now throw in the grandkid aspect. So we get to go back through this all again, but in a different way over the coming years.
Yes.
Having already gotten to do it once, but now it's when are we going to sneak them away and just go and leave the kids
Yeah.
home?
I can't wait for Green Gum Peepaw to take just Waylon and Harper.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping in the next
That's-
year or two we can
We get to do
we
that.
can do that.
Yeah.
So anyway, and we have learned through the years, and we will pass it on as we do this. We have learned how to make it like
Yeah.
not so much. Hey, we got to pack it all in. Like we have learned,
Yeah.
and granted, that's just different stages
Right.
in life, different things. But
Yeah.
that'll be
And that'll be some of the things we want to get to on the show. I think one thing I want to do in the next couple of weeks, and we'll do this because Emily's going to be getting ready to run the Princess Half Marathon at the next to last weekend of
10K,
February.
10K and half.
10K and half. There's a whole planning stage just for that, but we'll be able to kind of highlight that. So we'll be kind of going into that. But again, one thing that I didn't want the podcast to turn, we could easily turn this into a Disney centric podcast and limit it. We are going to do that because we've had a lot of requests for it. We want to hear your stories. We want to hear that. So we are going to do that. But at the same time, it's part of our lives. As you can see, I mean, I'm wearing this first time I've got to wear this shirt, by the way, because it's been so daggone cold and I just haven't
I was
worn
wondering.
it. Yeah,
I hadn't
the
seen it
short
before.
sleeve shirt. It was 62 today. We're breaking out the short sleeves and the shorts today. So anyway, all right.
Wait.
Oh, okay. We can do it again. All right, we will leave that in. We're not editing that out. Yes, you were going to say.
Well, there was one other thing, and you just have to make it quick.
Right.
2-sentence max. What is your favorite park and why?
God knows. It's Magic Kingdom. And why? Because it's the original. It's where it all started for me, but also it's just every aspect of it is near perfect. It's not perfect. It has its flaws now. It's always had its flaws, but it is what it's what we expect when we go. It's what we want. It's the show, but it is that special moment when you walk through that tunnel and that sign that I have a replica of. Here you leave today and enter the world of yesterday, tomorrow, and fantasy. Every time I go under this, even at Christmas when it's hidden or one of the holidays that it might be,
He hunts it down.
I hunt it down and I see it, and I will at least try to make an attempt to jump and tap up there.
Fix that.
I'll fix it. That's what because that's what it is. But Magic Kingdom,
Okay. So
everything there is how it's supposed to be.
So for me, it's Epcot. Epcot is my favorite.
Right.
Epcot is my favorite, possibly because I love magic, but Epcot is my favorite. I'll be honest. I love the food. I love doing the foodie
The
thing.
food
I
thing,
love the foodie
yeah.
thing. I love doing the different festivals there. I love the countries. I like wandering into the stores. I do love that. And my very absolute favorite ride is Soarin'. So, I can't help it. Well, that and Small World are my two favorite. But But anyway, so Epcot and Magic would be a tie, but Epcot probably takes out just a little bit more to me.
Epcot's pretty strong on the list. So
Yeah.
anyway, all right, yeah. All right. Well, Soren, living with the land. We are those living with the land people.
Yes.
So anyway,
So we both would probably agree
Yeah.
on our order of parks
Right.
that Animal Kingdom is the
least
last.
favorite of the parks. But Studios has a different angle. Studios is going to be just an entirely different show. We're going to have to do a whole show on the Studios experience that I've had, and the fortunate nature that I've had of that whole experience with Star Wars coming there. So we crossed the streams finally when Disney got acquired Star Wars. You can see it over behind my shoulder, one of those pieces that will be the lightsaber. That
the
story,
lightsaber.
that story.
Yes,
To learn
yes,
that story is
yes,
going to
yes,
be.
yes.
All right, so let's go back to what I had planned to do, which was all right. So we got what's coming up. We want to do that?
Yep.
Okay, what's coming up? What we've got at samwalkerobxnews.com. Restaurant and business list. We've had people ask us all the time. We want you guys to tell us what's going on and when it's going on and what restaurants to hit and what restaurants are open and closed. This time of year can be kind of hit and miss on trying to find restaurants that are open. But there's 3 things out there. Got a story right now at samwalkerobxnews.com. We've compiled the links from the Currituck Travel and Tourism. They've got a list that covers Kerala and some of the mainland too, with the businesses that have chimed in and said, hey, we're open. Here's our hours, or hey, we're closed. Well, here's when we're reopened. The Outer Banks Visitors Bureau has done that for Dare County, focusing on the restaurants. And our pals, Peter and Connie at ocracokeobserver.com, they've got a great list. It's not just the restaurants. They've got all the businesses in Ocracoke Village. They update that very regularly.
We
but
need
it's
to
pretty
go
much set.
visit.
We are going
Peter
to see.
sent a message at
I talked to him
birthday.
yesterday. Yeah, he's constantly, got to get down here.
I love Ocracoke.
We love Ocracoke. We do love Ocracoke. So, samwalkerobxnews.com, you go there and find that. It's got links. You can go to the Currituck Visitors Bureau website. You can go to the Outer Banks Visitors Bureau website, and you can go to ocracokeobserver.com. They've got it. And they're updating. And if you've got a restaurant or business that wants to be on there and the data's wrong, let them know. We got all the info on how you can contact them as well. By the way, speaking of restaurants, Mr. Joe's Fun Food opening the restaurant Old 34 Grill in Camden on Monday. Got a chance to be there on opening day. Did a story all about it.
You said it was a really good sandwich day.
It was a good fried chicken sandwich. It was very reminiscent of the college days at the Oasis at Campbell, that type of, great food, and the chance they're going to have the commissary, all that stuff. Story up at samwalkerobxnews.com. Sea turtles, over 200. The North Carolina aquariums on Roanoke Island and Pine Knoll Shores have already been treating 200 sea turtles this week alone. If you want to contribute, they do need supplies. There's 3 ways you can do it. You can make a direct financial donation through the North Carolina Aquarium Society. They have an Amazon wish list that you can also make donations to. Or they do need the big tubs, storage totes. Specific size, too. I've got the details for you at samwalkerobxnews.com. By the way, if you're thinking about going to the aquariums next week, the 29th through the 2nd, they are going to be closed. They're going to be doing a bunch of renovations and maintenance projects. So they have to be closed to do them at all 3 aquariums, Roanoke Island and Manio, Pine Knoll Shores on the Crystal Coast, and Fort Fisher down off Wilmington. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about that next week. This weekend, there's a couple of things going on. The North Carolina Cooperative Extension, Currituck County Master Gardener Volunteers has their 2024 Winter Indoor Plant Sale. It's going to be going on in the greenhouse there in Barco, in Maple, behind the Extension building, Friday from 2 to 5, Saturday from 10 to 2. They've got succulents, indoor tropical plants, some arrangements as well. All proceeds go towards enhancing the demonstration gardens, educational programs, and outreach activities of the Currituck Master Gardeners. First round of the OBX Got Talent competition. That's Saturday at the Pioneer Theater in Manio. Just down the street, the Theater of Dare is in their off-Toddway mode right now. Of course, they opened up the theater last year in Kitty Hawk, and it's been great that they've got that own space, their own space finally, after being nomads for so long, whether it was the old
Right, we saw that. We went and saw the play down at the school, didn't we?
At what's now, the old Manio Middle and High School that's torn down. Then they went to Dare Arts for a while. Well, that's where they're at right now. This weekend, Friday and Saturday at 7:30. Tickets are $10 and $15. They are performing Tiny Beautiful Things. Sunday's matinee is sold out. Get the deets at Theater of Dare, and that's the old English spelling, THEATRE of Dare.org. In Elizabeth City on Saturday, it's the 2nd annual Battle of the Bands. Arts of the Albemarle's got this going on at the McGuire Theater. Tickets $15 in advance, $20 at the door. Showtime 7 o'clock. Come join a panel of judges in choosing a winner from a lineup of regional bands sharing their original music. You've got the Beekeepers, Don't Call the Law with a K, Grayside, Rise of Titan, and Spacewalkers are all competing to win a PR package from Nicole J. and Company and a record a single with Viking Sound Studios. The show also featured performances by Post American Gothic. They were the 2023 winner. The Ramble. Concessions. Avtet Brewing's going to be handling the beer. Pizza and treats from Sweet Easy and Elizabeth City Pizza Company, too. artsofthealbemarle.org. Just search Arts of the Albemarle and you'll get their website to find out more. And looking ahead, it's the 7th annual Love on the Run 5K Vineyard Run and Walk with Outer Banks Running Company. That's at Sanctuary Vineyards in Jarvisburg on Saturday, February 11th. Starts at 9, runs till 1. I'm very impressed with what you get for the price. I mean, $45 to run 5K, but you get a shirt, you get a bottle of wine, you get 2 drink tickets too.
I've done it a couple of times. Yeah. It's a good run. Now it is like more of a trail.
It's a trail run because you're running through the vineyard,
right? But it's a pretty cool run.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that run.
Yep.
So I unfortunately have to work.
You do have to work
you
that
should do
Saturday.
it.
I will be doing. That's my plan to do it anyway. All right, and you got something as well about Dietz, about another event that's coming up, right?
I just want to give another shout out to the Moyoc Women's Club is the White Out for Hunger gala that we're having on March 16th. I have tickets. If you're interested in tickets, contact me through Facebook, or you can get on to the Moyoc Women's Club on Facebook and reach out to them directly also. It's going to be March 16th. It's at La Blolly Estate, which is also where our daughter is getting married.
That's right.
And it is a lot of fun, and the proceeds from this will go to the food banks of Currituck. And it's $80 a ticket, food, drink, all kinds of things with it. So anyway, I highly, highly suggest it. It's a lot of fun. It is called the White Out Gala. Usually people wear white, but this year I'm thinking I might not wear white. But you don't have to, is what I'm saying. You can wear whatever you want. It's a gala, so you dress up a little bit, but it's not a big deal. But it is a lot of fun. So anyway, come see us.
All right, so that's going to do it. With that, we get everything?
We did.
We did get everything. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, then I guess we will wrap up the show. But first, we're going to thank our sponsor, locally and operated by Parker and Smith Hammer. It is Stateline.com. Pressure washing, painting, concrete floor sealing, serving the Outer Banks in northeastern North Carolina. Over 140 5-star reviews on Google. Schedule now for your winter and early spring discounts. Get it today. A whole bunch of new stuff that they're doing. We're going to talk about it in our coming up on next show and our next couple of shows. In fact, StatelinePowerwash.com for that free estimate. Where's that music? There's that music. Okay. All right. So we made it for another edition of the Sam and M podcast. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, hit the bell. Favorite podcast app, YouTube, Facebook, 5 stars. Interact with us. Give us your thoughts, topics for future episodes. Sam Walker, obxnews@gmail.com. DM us on the socials. Emily seems to be doing a better job of collecting that than I do, so I will do a better job next week of taking the comments and turning them into content. Okay?
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
All right. So I guess
I wish you'd shut up and get the crap out of here.
I guess that's our cue.
See you next week, y'all.
See you next week on the Sam
and M
podcast. Thanks, guys. We will see you next time.